I think people are too comfortable with hate, and they think that it can never touch them. They think that, oh, he's just talking about everybody else. He's not. He's talking about y'all too. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Deandra Vaughn if you are new here, and if you're not new here, then welcome back to the click. So today we're going to be doing a little hair chat, and really this is just going to be like a mental health check-in, a little bit of a cleansing, if you will. It's been a lot going on lately with this election, and I was disappointed. I cannot say that I was overwhelmingly surprised, but I was very, very disappointed. And I know that is a feeling that many of you all share, especially being a Black woman. Like, we took this one pretty hard. So I just want us to be able to kind of talk about these things and just make sure everybody's doing okay. So like I said, this is going to be a hair chat video. So I will be doing my hair while we talk, and I'm going to be doing a braid out. Right now my hair is like an old wash and go. And as you can see, it's very old, which is why I put it back in that ponytail. But we are about to get this hair together. And for this video, we will be using the Super Curl by Uncle Funky's Daughter. I love this stuff, especially when I'm like in between washes and I'm just trying to like refresh my hair or just do like a quick little style. So because there's already products in my hair from the wash and go, I don't really need to add like gel per se. So this is going to be perfectly fine for what I'm trying to do. All right. So on Tuesday, November 5th, we had our election, and y'all, I'm not going to lie to y'all, when Kamala first announced that she was running, I was not overly confident. I even posted like on my stories on Instagram that like, are we sure that America is ready for a Black woman to be president? And that's honestly how I felt. I just was not sure if America was actually ready for that. But as the election season went on, I was starting to get really, really encouraged. I mean, it looked like she had a whole lot of momentum. You know, obviously a lot of us kind of are in our own little bubbles. So you're going to see thoughts and opinions that are similar to yours. That is literally how social media algorithms work. We're kind of in an echo chamber of sorts. So obviously everything that I was seeing was mainly positive stuff, mainly people that were supporting Kamala and saying they were going to go out and vote for Kamala. So I started to feel like, oh wow, like she might really have a chance at this. And then that other man, I'm not even going to name him because he doesn't even deserve it, but that other man, he really started just like shooting himself in the foot. He started saying all types of crazy stuff, crazier stuff than he already normally says. And we can get into the fact that he is more than likely senile and needs to not be anybody's president. We could talk about that in a different video if y'all want. But I was like, okay, so he's got to be losing some voters, right? Like, or at least the people that were on the fence. Like, there's no way y'all are going to vote for this man. And then he was a 34 count felon. Like, come on. Like, I had faith at least in women, because the stuff he was saying was just so outlandish and so out of pocket and clearly sexist. Not to mention all the abortion talk and women's rights. Like, I just started to feel like, okay, maybe she has a real chance. I did not think that she was going to get a lot of the men, especially white men. I did not think that she was going to get the majority of white male voters. I did not think that. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure if she would get the majority of white female voters, but I thought it would be I just thought it would be more than what she got. I'll put it like that. So when I went to bed on November 5th, I was like, okay, this is not looking great. It's not looking like she's going to be able to pull this off. And honestly, I wanted to stay up, you know, to see the results be finalized, but I did have to work the next day. So I went to bed basically just not feeling great. And I've been seeing like a lot of people like on TikTok and like all these different platforms talking about how all of us women, black women specifically, woke up at 3 a.m. to check their results. And we all just like felt in the pit of our stomach that, you know, she didn't win. And I don't know if I woke up exactly at 3 a.m., but I did wake up early. And I think I had like a text from my brother actually. And it was very disheartening, you guys. Like, I was sad. I was very sad. At work, I was not feeling it. I was just like, I wasn't in a very good place that day. And when I got home and when everything really started to like settle in and I really started to think about what the implications of another crazy man presidency, and it just made me very sad. And I literally cried. And I can say this is the first time I've ever like cried about an election result. And I wasn't just crying because she lost or because he won. I was crying for everybody that was going to be impacted by all of this. For so long, we've been told that, you know, you gotta be 10 times greater to be recognized in the same light. And a lot of us have internalized that in a way that's arguably probably not the best. But we never really thought that America would elect a black woman to be president. But it was just something about her campaign and just like the excitement around her campaign. A lot of people compared it to Obama. And I can say that it did feel very similar. And I was not old enough to vote in Obama's first election, but I did vote in his second election. That was actually the first election that I voted in. And Obama won both times. So for me, it wasn't like having a black president was just completely unheard of or like There's no way that can happen type thing. I did know that it would be harder for Kamala because she was a woman, but it was just the fact that this woman was so qualified, overqualified for this position, and she didn't even lose to a qualified opponent. Like, I honestly feel like I could have taken it a little bit better if she was running against anybody else. But it felt like hate won. I mean, that's like the best way I can put it. Most of his rhetoric was hateful rhetoric. And I guess a lot of us were just tricked into thinking, or maybe we were just overly optimistic, that like America would choose like their morality over their political party, or over their views about women or about minorities or whatever. And that just did not happen. And a lot of them say, you know, it was about the economy, and eggs were too expensive, and gas is too high, and inflation. Oh, Biden messed up the economy, blah, 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 blah. Even if that were true, it's just like, how do you put that above all this other terrible stuff that this man is spewing, and you go out and you vote for him? Like, it was bizarre to me, because there was no way that I was ever going to vote for him. Now, black people did not disappoint me. Black women especially. It was like 92% of us. We went out and did what we had to do. But most of these other groups, I cannot say the same. And so I guess from like a mental health perspective, I can see how it could be easy to go down like a doom and gloom spiral. The first time this man was in the office, hate really did rise. Hate crimes rose against minorities and marginalized groups. Like, that's what happened. Those are facts. And so it can look like, wow, like the country really voted for this. This country that I love and that I'm living in really voted against me. It can feel very, very personal. And I don't fault anyone for feeling that way. And I've been seeing like therapists online who have been talking about how they're having a lot of clients that are reaching out to them and just needed to talk about this election and just talk about their feelings, because they're not able to talk to their family members about it, or they're not able to talk to their significant other about it. And I think it's just a very sad time that we're in, where you can't even discuss a lot of these topics, because it's like people just get very, very angry. And a lot of therapists have had to reach out to their own therapists so that they can deal with their own feelings about the election and figure out how they can help their clients and just hold space for their clients when they're also dealing with these complicated emotions. And from a female perspective, obviously it's going to hit different for us. We've never had a female president in the United States. If Obama had been a woman, he would not have won. Even as amazing as he is, even as amazing as Michelle is, I don't believe Michelle would have won either, because being a woman still trumps no pun intended, a lot of other factors. And if we're really being real, even women don't really want to be led by women. If you talk to women about who have your worst bosses been and all this, a lot of times they will name women. They'll say that their worst bosses they ever had were women. Some of that maybe is because women that are in boss positions have to be a little bit more stern to gain the respect that a man does not have to necessarily work for as hard. So maybe they can come off a little bit abrasive, but we cannot negate the fact that a woman boss and a man boss can say the exact same thing, but when a woman says it, people perceive it differently. You know, when a man is very authoritative and strong with what he says, people admire it. People say he's a good leader, he's confident. But let a woman be like that, and people don't like it. They say she's arrogant. They say she's stuck up. They say she's a B word. Like, this is what people say. So I'm not surprised that women did not go out to vote for a woman to be the ultimate boss, so to speak, by being the president of the United States. That's the highest position that a person in our country can hold. And I just think the thought of that being a woman, and especially a black woman, they just couldn't do it. I think women are a lot more comfortable being up under a man versus a woman. And of course, we don't even have to mention that men are not comfortable being up under a woman. Like, no man ever is going to say, oh yeah, I definitely want a woman to be the head of the United States. Like, no, they're not going to say that. They're just not. And we live in a very patriarchal society. We've come a way. I don't know if I'm gonna say a long way, but we have come a way. We're not quite as bad as we used to be. But if you look at the landscape of our country, most CEOs are still men. The highest earners in our country are still men. And if we look at the careers that provide the highest income, doctors, lawyers, engineers, whatever you want to say, most of them are still men. They are male-dominated industries. And that is not by happenstance. That is on purpose. A lot of women are still not even encouraged to go for these careers. They're discouraged from it, you know, at a young age. If they're in high school and somebody asks them, what's your major going to be? And let's say they do say, I'm going to be a doctor or engineering or whatever. The teachers will literally tell them maybe they shouldn't go for that. Maybe they should go for teaching or nursing. Things that are more stereotypically female roles. And I don't think that it's always done maliciously. I think sometimes they feel like they're doing it to look out for us or to protect us from disappointments. But you're doing a disservice by doing that, because what you're saying is, don't even go for that because you're not good enough, or don't even go for that because you're not going to do it. And that's not the message that we should be sending to girls or women. And I think that was also why my heart broke when Kamala lost the election. It was because I know there are so many little girls that were excited that she was running. And I think in a way they saw themselves in her, especially little girls that were minorities. They saw themselves in her. Even grown adult women like me, we saw ourselves in her. So when you see that as a young girl, and you see that this man that was not nice, putting it in little kid terms, he was not nice, and he won. So like to them, it's like the bad guy won over the nice lady. And we don't realize what that teaches our little girls. We don't realize what that teaches our little boys. You're teaching our little boys that they could basically do and say whatever they want and still be chosen over a woman. And you're teaching our little girls the same thing. But we are resilient. I woke up that next day and I was like, look, this was not the outcome that I wanted. This is not the outcome that we wanted. But we tried. We did our part. And I can feel good about that. I can hold my head up high about that. And I know that ultimately I will be on the right side of history. It's already happening. I'm not going to get into all of it right now, but you can already see the stuff that he's trying to implement. And a lot of people are already having buyer's remorse. And I do not blame Black women or any other marginalized group from feeling like it's not my problem. Because again, we did our parts. We did what was needed. We showed up. Other groups just did not have our backs. And I'm not talking about Black men, but other groups besides them, a lot of them did not have our backs. And so at this point, it's kind of like it's on y'all now. Anything bad that comes out of these next 4 years or beyond, my response will be, well, this is who y'all voted for. This is what y'all wanted, or at least is what you thought you wanted. He told you what he was running on. He showed you what he was running on. He said he was going to do mass deportations. Did y'all think that was just going to be certain immigrants that he was going to deport? No. It's going to be your relatives. It's going to be your friends, people that you know. All of them will be impacted by this. And we tried to help. We tried to tell you guys. And nobody wanted to listen. Everybody wanted to vote based on their own interests. But the funny thing about politics is that regardless of how you vote or regardless of who's in office, their policies and the things that they enact impacts everybody. It's not like if you voted for him, you're somehow immune from the crazy stuff that he decides to do. You still have to live here. Your kids still have to grow up here. They still have to go to school here. So if he gets rid of the Department of Education, that impacts you too. If he imposes tariffs, that impacts you too. So I do think things could potentially get worse. I'm not into like fear mongering and all that, But I can definitely see how things might not be great within these next 4 years. I can see it. But at the end of the day, there is a large part of me that feels like maybe this is what's needed. I think people are too comfortable with hate and just hateful speech being spewed on such a national level that people have almost become like numb to it or immune to it, and they think that it can never touch them. They think that, oh, he's just talking about everybody else. He's not. He's talking about y'all too. Yeah. And I think these next 4 years, he's going to show them. And I think there will be more buyer's remorse. I think there's going to be a lot of people like, what have we done? We have created a monster, and we have no idea what to do with him now. I thought we were already at that point. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we had already gotten to that point where everybody was like, okay, that was a fun experiment, but you know, never going back there again. But I was wrong. People wanted more of it. They did not get enough. So he's back in there. But the good thing is we're going to be okay. I'm a firm believer in the fact that good will prevail. But sometimes you do have to go through the bad before we can get there. But I am proud of the fact that so many people did go out and do the right thing, and they voted for the more qualified candidate regardless of her gender and her race. Contrary to what a lot of people try to make us believe, this was not like a blowout by the other side. He won the popular vote by like 4 million votes, which in the grand scheme of things is not a lot. That's a very, very close election. Of course, with the Electoral College being set up the way that it is, it looked like a much bigger victory because he did get like all the swing states and all that. But if we look at just pure votes, it was very close. So that is some consolation, I guess. I don't want people thinking like, wow, like the majority of the country is against me, or the majority of the country completely disagrees with what I feel and what I think. That's not the case. It was, for the most part, a 50-50 split. Is that still too much? Yeah. Like the fact that 50% of our country voted for him is, that's still very disheartening. But it wasn't like 70-80% of the country voted for him. I think even in very conservative states, it still wasn't like 80-90%. It was still like maybe 60% voted for him. And that is pretty good for Kamala. I think that showed that there were people that were like, no, I'm not going for this again. We saw what this was last time. We need something different. We need a change. The country needs a reset. But unfortunately, a few more people decided to ride the wave, and we got another crazy man presidency. But I don't want anybody's takeaway to be that a woman is not good enough to be president, or a woman is not qualified enough to be the president. That should not be the takeaway. Kamala did everything that she could do in a very short amount of time. By the way, she had 100 days essentially to run a campaign, and she ran a very, very good campaign. Like, that was impressive. I don't care what anybody says about it. They can criticize a lot of things, but she did her thing with that campaign. I do wish that Biden had stepped down earlier to give her more time. I think if she had had more time, like a few more months, I think she probably could have pulled it off, because it was so close, you guys. Like I said, 4 million votes separated. In a lot of the states, it was like 50-50 split, and he just barely edged her out. So I do think that with more time, things possibly could have been different. But unfortunately, that was all the time that she had. And again, she did the best she could do. And I'm very, very proud of Kamala. And I'm proud of women, those of us that went out and voted and rallied for her. I'm proud of us. And I want all of you to be proud of yourselves as well. All the men that went out and voted for her, even though it might not have been very popular. I'm proud of you as well. I'm proud of you all that was the odd person out of their family. The family was all voting for the man, and you said, no, absolutely not. I will be casting my ballot for Kamala Harris. I'm proud of you. And this loss is not a representation of you. To be honest, it's an indictment of the other half of the country that voted the other way. But I don't want you to feel down or discouraged. We took our moment. We cried. We were sad. But now it's time to get to work. You know what I mean? Like, now we know what we are up against, and we're going to do our best to make the best out of this situation. And like I said, we will be sitting back like, y'all wanted this. Don't ask for our help now. Because I do think they are going to regret all of this. I really, really do. Because I don't think a lot of people that voted really understood the gravity of this particular election and what was really on the line. I don't think so. And now I think it's just now starting to really come to the forefront of what the real agenda is and what it has been. But a lot of people were tricked and fooled into thinking it was something else. That is the reality of what we are living in right now. So I just want to come and just tell you guys that you are loved, you are beautiful, we are going to be okay. Kamala is going to be okay. She is still the Vice President of the United States, the first woman to ever serve as the Vice President of the United States, and nobody can take that away from her, period. I do think that it is possible for us to get a female president in our lifetime. I don't think that that is just ridiculously far-fetched, especially with how well Kamala was able to do this time. Like I said, it was a very close election. So I have not lost all hope. I do think that it's something that we can potentially see. I think it will take more women coming together. I think it's probably going to be a while before you can get like the majority of men on board to vote for a female. But I want to believe that we can get women on one accord to get our first female president up in the White House. I want to believe that, you guys. And who knows, if this current presidency goes as badly as a lot of people are predicting that it will, people might be begging for something different. And by something different, that might be a woman. One can only hope, right? I'm really hoping that I did not do this braid out too late, y'all. My hair is very dense and thick, so it takes a while to dry. But I'm hoping that it'll have time to dry. If not, I'm going to sit under the dryer before I go to bed, just to be sure, because I do have to go to work tomorrow. And I don't want my hair to be a mess. But this is what my braids are looking like. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts about all of this election stuff. Let me know how your mental health is doing. Like, this is a mental health check-in, you guys. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other. I really want my channel to be a place where people can come and feel safe and feel heard. So if you guys want to engage in the comments, please do so, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to join the family. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.